Welcome to Be Happy, Feel Great, where we bring you experts to help you with your own personal development. I have a very special guest today who came out to East Hampton in the studio here, all the way from North Bergen, New Jersey. And Steve Fagan is the president and CEO of Fagan and Associates. Steve is a certified life coach. He's a recovery coach. He's a certified business coach. And he is a master coach, which really means he's the coach to coaches. And I'd like to wish Steve and thank you for coming on the show here. It's just great that you came all the way out here, all that traffic and everything, and here we are in beautiful East Hampton today.
Thank you, Mike. And it was a pleasure to take the drive. I must tell you, for you and for the show, I'm here. And I'm willing to be here, and I'm really glad to be with you this morning.
Oh,
this is wonderful.
Steve. And when I was giving the introduction, I really wanted to say Steve is the guru of coaching. I think that really says it all. You know, there's so much that you do, and there's so many people out there in our audience that they hear of coaching and they think of my baseball coach or the soccer. They don't really understand the concept of it. So how about if we jump right in and
let's talk about it. Let's tell what it is. I actually was one of those people.
Okay.
When I was introduced to a coach about 8-9 years ago, and I said, "What are you about? What can you do to help me?" He said, "I can coach you to be better at what you do. I can coach you to be the person you're really supposed to be. I'm going to unleash your dreams, your goals, your objectives." I'm like, "How are you going to do all that?"
Yeah,
he said, "As you're an objective observer." Steve, you're objective observer. Objective. Take that word.
So that means you really can't have your spouse or a relative, your best friend, right? It has to be that objective observer.
Very much so, because coaching is about asking questions. It's not about advising. And this is very important to understand, Mike. That was the one thing I learned in the early days. As a coach, you have to understand your client has the answers within them. As a coach, I have to give you the right questions that you can pull them out of you. For you see, for you, your honesty is what you take out of you. By me telling you, that is not your real honesty. It's got to come from you. So as an effective coach, I've got to get to know you enough that I know the right questions so that you can pull out your own answers. And an objective observer is the person. When someone's too close, that emotional tie can be really a negative than a positive.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, asking questions is one thing.
Yes.
But you must have to really be a good listener, too.
Correct. This is a guy who knows what he's talking about with that. Exactly right, Michael.
Okay, because too many people ask questions, but then they're thinking of their next question, and they don't hear what the person is saying, really.
Well, they're not listening. Yep. Like I'm listening to you right now, because you're exactly right. I'm hearing what you have to say, because you cannot work with somebody and create a rapport. Rapport is very important with a coach and their client, because your client needs to have that honesty and be able to tell you their truth. And in order to do that, you've got to trust somebody. And a coach gives you that opportunity where you can create that trust level, and again, that objective observer, which also gives your client measurable results. People will stay with you and work with you if you're showing them the results, and they're seeing the results in their lives. So being their coach, you're giving them measurable results. You're saying, okay, over a 30-day period, you're going to look to be at this level. 15-day period, we're going to look at this. We're going to do temperature readings. And people then start realizing, hey, I'm on a growth mode. I'm on a growth pattern through that process.
So this is really a commitment by the person who hires the coach.
Very much so.
You give them the direction, maybe the map to get them where they're looking to go. You mentioned goals and dreams before, and that's really what you're working with, and you're able to measure it, which is key. That really is important.
Very much. I like that you mentioned the map. I call it the blueprint.
Okay.
We actually create a blueprint for them to follow and direct from what we learned in the classes, our programs, and then what they do at home. Because working with a coach, you have assignments. So between our sessions, you have work you have to do. See, the whole coaching experience is about you as the client finding yourself, unleashing your dreams, your goals, your objectives. Well, with the questions and comments, a good part of the work is done, but then between sessions It's up to you as the client to take responsibility. Key word, responsibility.
Responsibility, and
Yes.
I think too many people don't like to do that.
That's what we deal
That's
with.
that's where the coach comes in, though, right?
That's exactly right.
You're the cheerleader, as you said, and you could really
Motivator.
The motivator.
I'm the
I like that.
motivator.
You're the
I'm the
motivator.
cheerleader. I'm the person who gives you the measurable results. I'm your objective observer.
Okay.
That's what we do as a coach. We're here to work with it, but it's solid, consistent information. You know, we do exercises. We do a lot of, a good part of it is we do a lot of programs where we kind of just relax and we think. We use a lot of the imagination. Big piece. As a coach, I'm working with your imagination, with your inner understanding of your, what we call I-ness, that part of you, who you are. And we dig into it. It's our consciousness.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
we
you
work
know,
with
Walt
that.
Disney always said, if you could dream it, you could do it.
Exactly
And
right.
that's that imagine. Look what he did.
Oh,
You
look
know?
at the world, the empire he
old-
built.
Yeah, right, right. Talk about imagination.
That's right. That time he was on this planet, look what he offered to all of us. Well, that's
Yeah.
what it's about. It's about creating values. And I work with my clients individually or even as a business owner or even people. You talked about recovery. We have to work with individuals who have a reason for why they need to get rid of certain things out of their bodies or out of their system so that they can move forward in stimulation, excitement, versus using a drug or some kind of supplement. Instead, do it from within. And that's what I work as a coach, is try to get you inside you, because everybody has those tools. They just don't know how to get them out.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's probably a lot with health and wellness in your program.
Very much.
And
Very much.
exercise and food and how they eat and the whole thing, right?
It's
it
the whole
encompasses
combination.
everything.
A good point you brought that up, because unfortunately many people departmentalize their being. You must come together mentally, physically, and emotionally. And as a coach, my job is to bring all three together, which will bring in health and wellness, which will bring in mind matter, how to develop our minds. You may be aware that most of us only use 7.5 to 10% of our minds and our brain power.
Right.
Well,
Right.
we have a lot more opportunity. So as a coach, I work with exercises to improve the brain power, to improve our mental state, to improve the capacity of where we can grow and develop. Then also work with health and wellness, exactly. Then we work on your own I-ness, as I said earlier, the word I-ness, which means your consciousness. And then when you can put those all together, you got a very, very exciting person, a person who wants to live life to the fullest and find the best methods they can to have the best at life that they can have.
That is just wonderful. I bet there's a service like that you provide that, and you and your team, really. It's,
Yes,
you
the
know,
associates.
Your
My
associate, right.
Because people will say to me, Steve, what's
Fagan
Fagan
and
and Associates?
Associates, yeah.
And that's really what we are. Our coaches are the associates of our organization. Okay, I created and set up the model. Coaches now work and associate with me, and we're able to work with our client base. And we're able to spread this out throughout the country. It doesn't just have to be in one segment. We can work, nationwide.
Well, the title of our show is actually 21st Century Power Tool.
It sure is, yes.
Coaching.
Coaching, exactly.
And can you explain that? Would you like to maybe give your take on it, your vision on what it is?
Tough question, Mike.
Is it? Okay.
Tough question. I don't know what to say. I have a lot to say. The world, like you and I grew up in the 20th century. We came from a world, for many of us, where we were told, get your education, get a good job, the company will take care of you. You will have your pension, you will have your benefits, you will have all the extra perks. A company will do that. That's not the 21st century.
Right.
The world has changed.
It used to
Big
be
time.
follow what the generation before you did, but do
Exactly.
it better.
Do it better,
And each
right.
one, and it was just a given. Okay, well, if they did this, I'm going to have more, and
Exactly.
life becomes easier.
You better believe it. In many cases in the 20th century, many men were married, their wives in many cases still were staying home, raising children, etc.
Right?
Today, we have a melting pot of activity in the 21st century. We have single parents. We have most wives are working, that both spouses are working, partners are working. Children are going to daycares, they're going to special other programs. I mean, it's growing stronger and bigger. People are getting downsized. This world of security with a corporation isn't there anymore.
It's
That world
not
is
like
gone.
the old TV show Father Knows Best
No.
or any of those things.
It's a nice memory.
Yeah, right.
But it's
right.
not reality.
Yep.
That it's gone. So what does somebody go to help? Do they go to a therapist? Do they go to a counselor? Do they go to, their neighbor? People have to go to an objective observer to help them, to guide them, to direct them, create the blueprint. That's where the coaching world is coming in. And even though it was starting at the end of the last century, it is becoming a major concrete foundation for the 21st century, where more and more individuals, business owners, people in recovery, as we talked about, people who have weight problems, people grieving, are now going to coaches who are experienced in these areas to help them get unstuck. And that's the term I use, get unstuck. Dig into who they are with the correct exercises, getting asked the right questions, getting to their honesty. And this is a major tool of the 21st century, following the way the world is today, which is downsizing, major entrepreneurs building up, single parents.
Technology, everybody with all their high-tech everything today.
The pressures of today, Mike. Think about this.
Yeah.
Talking about high-tech and all, we're an Insta-act type world. Everything now you want now. You want it
now. And there's less communication with people. They're all sitting there texting and
socializing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that brings up as a very good point. How many of us who are parents? My children are grown now, but how many of our parents are working with their teenagers and all who are so involved with the computer world, and they're so involved with their the iPhones and all the programs, and really and even with the YouTube and the videos and what's being put on videos and what's being said and what's going on. This is a whole new world.
Right. It used to be 13 stations on TV.
13.
But you only watch 3 of them, or maybe 4 with the cartoons when
Exactly
you were a
right.
little kid,
And then you used to have that, I think they used to play the God Bless America or something at the end of the day, and that was over at midnight.
Yeah, right. There would actually be stations that would just be slow the rest of the night.
That was it. I think America the Beautiful or whatever, they would play an end, the national anthem, actually. And you would say, good night. Everybody went to bed. We'll be back again at 7 in the morning.
Yep.
See, you and I, we're aging ourselves.
and most people don't even realize we're educating our audience here too a little.
And we really are at that point.
And especially with this coaching, because it's fascinating. I know I do a little bit of coaching.
Yes, you do.
I take on a few clients after when I could help them and everything with different aspects of my career. And you're big, though. You're like, as I said, the guru of it. And not only do you do coaching where you would work one-on-one with people, you do workshops and seminars and all that, right? Weekend courses.
Right. Well, let me state a very important factor. The reason why I'm building the way I am, I have my own coach. Even as a coach, I have my own coach. So I keep I'm teachable. The one thing I want to get out of it to all our listeners is that you must be teachable. Never give up being teachable. And that's why a coach is so valuable for you, because when you still stay that I have more to learn, there's more more knowledge out there, more understanding of myself, you're going to be a better person, a stronger person.
Absolutely. Your own personal development. But I didn't realize the guru of coaches has his own coach also.
Yes, I do.
That says a lot.
Well, it's
important. And the importance of it, because like you said before, you need that objective person. You can't rely on your friends, your family.
Right.
And life has its own twists and turns, and you can't predict.
Right.
And for your own personal development, it just makes so much sense.
Well, you know what's very important about this is, and for anybody, really everybody who's out there listening, sometimes not that you're off track, but you're so busy involved in the activities you're doing, you lose track of some things, or you lose sight of certain things. And just to give you just a short example, working with my coach, I'm building this, I call empire. I'm an empire builder, because I want to build for a better world in this 21st century. I want to get as much info and knowledge and information out to society, and focusing on the coaching world, because it is a newer industry to get the value and the credibility. So I'm constantly, as you said, doing workshops. I'm constantly building business plans. I'm constantly working on marketing plans. I'm speaking to many organizations. Having a coach, for me, was a very important factor, because what happened was, as we were talking in a session one day, he said, Steve, you're amazing what you're doing. You're building, you're creating, you're developing, you're a value creator. Where's your heart? You're losing track of the human being. You're so focused on the mechanical,
Wow.
you're not connecting with your heart. And you know something? That I stopped.
It clicked right there.
It clicked right there. That one statement, and he was right. I was so busy focusing on all the mechanical factors, all the visions I had, all the processes with lawyers and accountants, and all, I was becoming a machine. And the human being was off.
That's so true, Steve, how you just sometimes you lose focus.
Yes.
You think you're on the right track with your focus, but it does take that objective person to maybe just push you back a little bit.
Yes.
And it might just be that little bit that can be the success story.
Well, that's what it worked out to be. And
Yeah.
now I'm a little bit softer because I'm aware of the being. Remember I said to you earlier, mental, physical, and emotional. I had to bring them all together. I was letting go of the emotional.
Okay.
I was so busy with the mental, really.
So you were out of balance.
I was off balance.
You were off balance.
And we have to, for everybody listening, you have to work with all three at all times. All three of these have to be worked on. And I stress to, that's another reason why you want to work with a coach. Coach will work with you on the balance and how you can direct all parts of who you are. We're wonderful human beings. We're just not aware of the values we have to offer. We're not aware of who we are. And it's time that each one of us should know the value we offer to society. Yes, we're sons, we're husbands, we're fathers, we're grandchildren, we're we could be trainers or coaches in Little League, et cetera.
Right,
We're making an income.
And we have our own careers.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But we're human beings first.
And this is great, the way you said 21st century.
Exactly.
It really is, because it's a complex society today.
Exactly.
And there's all this stuff going on. People get jobs today that you don't even know what they are.
Exactly.
So how do you go about it? And there's all kinds of there's job coaches out there.
Business coaches. That's
business
just like what I do.
What you do, you help people like
I'm helping that, and not only do I help them with developing and growing their business, but I also work with them as the business owner. This was a major factor. I realized that many people who now start entrepreneur businesses, and I'm one of them. I was a human being who was in a corporate world at one time, who's now switched into the entrepreneur world.
Right.
Well, I'm still a human being, and guess what? We all come to our world with baggage.
Sure.
So even though we're starting a company, it doesn't mean that I'm prepared to be a business owner.
No,
you ever think of that?
You're always learning,
You
like
never
you said
learn.
before.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to keep learning.
You got to keep learning. You got to keep developing. You have to keep growing.
Yeah.
And what I learned was, not only do I help the business owner build and develop their business, but I help the business owner grow as a person and then as an owner. So it's almost a second position that I work with
Yeah,
those
well,
businesses.
a lot of businesses, the owners, the management, they know their product,
Yes.
but they don't know human relations.
Right.
Maybe they're not as good as they should be in marketing. Maybe there's other things that they need some help with. Now, is this where you could
That's where I come in. That's where I
you
come in. And that's the whole process. When you're working with a client, that's why the exercises are so important, Mike. And we have exercises between classes and seminars and sessions, is because at that time, the client starts to realize by asking certain things about their achievements. What is their vision? Many clients don't have an actual clear vision of their future. Where do they want to be in 10 years? One thing we have to learn to be as visionaries. As a coach, I work with my clients on developing their visionary skills. See, I already see myself in 2030. I already know what it's going to look like because I've had to develop that for my objective.
Some of them are short term. They'll look at what they need, what kind of goal they have to reach this month, but they're not looking out at the 3-year, 5-year, 10-year.
Yeah, right. I'm doing it because I'm building a larger kind of world where a lot of people will be part of this. So I look at where it's going to be in 10 to 15 years. But you're right, most of my clients will stay that 3 to 5 year plan. And we will stay with that. I just have to be, because I'm working with so many people, I have to go a little further out. But you can if you like. But your objective and your dream has to be clear, though. Where, even in 3 or 5 years, where are you going to be? Where are you going to be up the ladder? You may not be at the top of the ladder, but where are you when you are maybe 3/4 of the way up the ladder? And look at it. And I use a ladder as a metaphor. I'm a big person with metaphors. So we all say, okay, we're on the ladder. Okay, let's take the first rung, second rung. Okay, let's just stay up to the 4th rung. You got 12 rungs. Let's just stay with the 4th rung. And then, again, what did I say? Imagination. Always developing the imagination. It's going to help a person develop, because it's all about thinking in pictures, picture puzzles.
So it's the visualization that you're looking at. That's
crucial.
Important.
And in today's world, many people did not realize up until recently, most people only think they look and they see words. That's incorrect. It's got to be pictures and puzzle pieces and puzzles. And then you connect and you snap them all together into a full puzzle picture.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, but so true. Anybody who just tuned in, we're here today with Steve Fagan. Hi. And Steve is with Fagan and Associates, and we're talking about life coaching. Steve is a master coach. He trains the coaches. And we were just talking about some of the workshops, some of the seminars. And I think it's a good point, Steve, for you maybe at this point in the show to tell us, for people who are out there,
right,
what should they be looking for in a coach?
That's a great question, Mike, and thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Because the one thing about looking for coaches, there are people out there, and I'm going to be very candid here because you know my passion. So just let me say this. Credentials, number one. Unfortunately, we are in a world that many people call the Wild West. Got to put it out there in today, in 2014, going forward. The bottom line is this. People are saying they're coaches and they're not. People are saying that they have credentials. Look and see the credentials. Look them up and Google them. Study and find out what they're about. Look at their references. Very important, number one. Because we're still in a world that people are just putting a shingle out and have had no experience in regard to being an effective coach. They don't understand about questioning. They don't understand about listening. They don't understand about exercise programs and the value of these. So I have to reinforce that. You must do your homework.
So true, because I meet a lot of people, and they say they're a coach, and I wouldn't even consider them on my show. After I talk to them a little bit,
right,
no credentials,
right,
I don't know what kind of coaching they do.
So they just put the word out.
Yeah.
And that's a shame for our industry because we have such a professional industry. But over time, that's going to be taken care of. But in the meantime, do your homework. Google. Check out references. Ask for references for anybody you work with. Number two, I recommend that you, and I'm going to tell you right up front, you should get a 30 minutes to say an hour free consultation with the coach.
Okay.
A coach who's really worth their weight and will support their business will give you a consultation as a process. I'm a big believer in that. Just have a chance to talk with the client. Let the client ask you questions. Get to know if there's a rapport. See how it works. Now, some coaches may only use 30 minutes. That's fine. Some do an hour. I do up to an hour because I find I want to get to know the client also. And I'm going to see if that's going to be a process. It goes both ways. It really does work both ways.
Okay.
So I want to say...
You want to find somebody that fits your style, too.
That's
and they're
correct.
Coachable.
Coachable. They're coachable. Teachable.
Okay.
Very important.
Yep.
It's a very important factor. That's number two. Number three, basically, you want to find somebody who you have a rapport with. You know, some men work beautifully with women. It's a relationship. It's a communication. Some women work great with men. I have many of my clients who are women. Our relationship is very strong. It just seems, it works. I have men also, but it doesn't matter even about the sexuality part of it. It doesn't matter. I found that out to be, it's about the clicking with the personalities.
It's the chemistry.
And the chemistry.
So
I want to say that. So don't worry about, go to the person, have that dialogue. That's why I figure that consultation is very, very important. And if they will not give you the consultation, thank you, have a good day, move on. The next thing basically is ask for, before the first class, ask for some questions that you're actually going to get from your coach. Say, you know, okay, before our first class starts, could you send me, say, 3 or 5 questions of what I should fill out about myself?
I would think a good coach, you wouldn't have to ask. They
That's
would
right.
say,
they would give it.
Before our first session, I'm going to email you something here, and can you fill that out and get it back? Because that also works the other way.
You better believe it.
Does the person do the homework, I guess you could call it? There is homework, really, with coaching.
There's homework with coaching,
There's work.
Right. Well, you as a client are going to be doing the work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I will tell you this. Why do you think I still work with coaches? It challenges me, because guess what? I get homework every week. Myself. With my coach, so I have to do my own homework.
We're always learning.
Exactly right.
Isn't that something?
And also, a good coach, I have homework with my clients. As a good coach, I go back over my notes, my lesson, what I did, worked with. I also send a nice thank you note back to my client. I said, good job this week. This is what you've done. You know, kind of a little review, whatever's being done. This is our action for the next session. Reconfirm the next session, when it's going to be, etc. So the client really feels special.
Yes.
Really feels like coach is in my corner.
Well, anybody that gets you to coach them, I have to say they're very lucky. You know,
Thank you.
that they could
Thank you.
they could have Steve Fagan to be their coach. Now, there's a lot of different types of coaches out there too.
Yes,
And
there are.
I think we should clarify that with people. You know, I've met people. They work with relationships.
Yes.
And that's strictly what they do. Or transitional coaches, where people losing a job or
Yes.
you know, other transitions in life that they have to go through, even grieving
Yes.
coaches, right?
There are bereavement. They're called bereavement coaches.
Okay.
And they're out there. And just so you know, coaching is not about staying with your coach forever. Coaching is about a specific situation and working with your coach to get unstuck or to move forward with that blueprint. So coaching is not staying for 3, 4, 5 years with someone.
Okay.
It's about
Good
a certain
point.
period that depends on the objective of why you're together and it really reaching that objective. And then you can decide if you want to continue or move on. But it's all about today moving forward, and then there's a time when you must release and move on and live your life accordingly.
Right, right. Now, I know a lot of people watching the show are going to be very interested in contacting you.
Great.
And if they did, Steve, how would they reach you? What's the best way?
The best way really, it would be through our website,
Okay. What is
Fagan
it?
and Associates. It's www.Fagan, Fagan, Associates, inc.com. So it's Fagan and Associates Inc.com. And we have all our information. There's a phone number. There's everything on there that you can take right on the website.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Steve. I think we've really clarified 21st century power tool coaching. And
Great.
Great show. And
Thank you, Mike.
contact Steve, okay?
Thank you very much, Mike.